computer and on another call on another computer. So that's how blessed I am. All right. All right, so here we are going live on YouTube and another call on another computer. There we go. So that's how blessed. There we go. All right. So so grateful to see you all here this morning. And I think I'm going to just start us out with a prayer. I'm here only to be truly helpful. And I am here to represent you, God, my Father, you who sent me here. I don't have to worry about what to say, what to do, because you who sent me will direct me. And I'm content to be wherever you wish, whenever you wish, however you wish, because I know that you are right here with me. And I am going to be healed completely as I let you teach me to heal. Amen.
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 All right.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Can I hear it? Amen. I love it. All right. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Mandi. And we're here to, again, look at these power poems that our dear friend Mandi has manifested for us. And today I picked a poem that I thought really reflected how I'm feeling, as always. And it's called, let's get here, Letting God Drive. Letting God drive.
Someone was detected at the front door.
There's Sandy going in and out with the cats. I don't know if you heard that. Someone is detected at my front door. But let's see. Who would like to read the poem for us today? I would love to hear another voice.
I'll read it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rafi. Go right ahead.
Letting God drive. When you look in the mirror, it appears there are two, yet it's just twin aspects of the same you. But one has the power, the other does not. The reflection has nothing the source has got. It can take no action without you. It can't object or fight you. If you change your arm position, it can't oppose your decision. It's your counterpart, your shadow's heart. Boy, that rings so powerful too. In the same way, you can surrender and thrive by releasing the wheel and letting God drive the car of your being. Now you're sightseeing, giving over control to the safety of soul. There's a change of command. Love is at hand. So keep dropping back, leave the drama and fuss, relax in your seat, and let God drive the bus. When you're surrendered to your source provider, life flows because you're the only rider. You can look out the window and enjoy the view. Now that soul's recognition, simply you being you. Woo. Every single morning when I get up, the first thing I do is turn everything over to the power of being. No, it'll be perfect. And this, wow, resonates perfectly.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. It was lovely to hear you read it, Rafi. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love it because it really, I have on many occasions while actually driving, asked the Holy Spirit, ask Jesus, take the wheel, as that beautiful Carrie Underwood song is. But it's every day in every way, be you in charge. This holy instant I give to you, be you in charge. So I love this discussion about the looking in the mirror and there appearing to be two, but it's just the same me, the same one that I am. And I love it. One has the power and the other does not. The reflection has no autonomy of itself. The reflection has nothing. The source has got nothing. It's just a picture. And not even a solid picture. It's just a reflection. So it can't do anything without me. It's like my shadow, me and my shadow. My shadow can't do anything without me. But I can argue with it. I can ask it to stop following me. I can go into the darkness so I don't see it anymore. But it's still the shadow is still the way that I'm blocking the light. So any one of these things, if you're looking at it, it's just doing what I ask it to do. And I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at
Someone was detected at
someone
the front
detected
door.
at my front door. I look at the world, and now in America, the politics have gotten a little more crazy, and we're looking more and more and more at what appears to be a totally insane and out of touch person who is uh, day by day saying more and more crazy and outrageous stuff. And yet, the American people are sitting here going, "Oh, I can accept that that this person is saying crazy things because as my sister said, my sister told me when I was talking to her on the phone, and she's a very, right-wing Christian evangelical person, and she said, you have to look at three things. First, marriage is between a man and a woman and can be nothing else. Second is, what was the second thing? Anyway, she said three different things, and each one of those things were things that I have my own opinion about. I think marriage can be among many people, and it doesn't be gender based in any way at all. It's a relationship. I don't believe any of those things, and I don't want the government to tell me what to do in any of those things. And I'm looking at that, and what I'm seeing is my own resistance. And the more I resist, the crazier the reflection gets. The more I crazy resist what I'm seeing, the crazier the reflection gets. And I just have to think it's me. I'm doing this myself. And I can just let it go and stop trying to put my will into the world, because when I do, all I see is an insane reflection. And I blame the reflection for my insanity when it's the other way around. So I love that. I love the idea of just letting go and letting God, letting the Holy Spirit be in charge, and stop trying to fight for my own safety. Stop trying to fight for my own whatever, because it's a dream, it's a story, it's a reflection. Let's see. All right. I don't know if anybody wants to look at the poem anymore, but I'm going to put it down and go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, I don't have a button on the bottom of the thing that says raise your hand. I don't know why. But what I did want to say was the reflection can teach you a lot of stuff. Guys, everything else here can. I mean, you can look at the reflection and go, oh, wait a minute, I need to look at this because the reflection is showing me this and that. So everything is serving, even the reflection. I mean, everywhere you look, there's that perfection. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you for that. And isn't that, I mean, that's the truth. And so, if I'm looking at it and I'm angry about it, well, there's only one person who is responsible for that. And it's not someone out in the world. It's my own thinking.
Taking
And
responsibility is very, very powerful, because that's, otherwise you just you're being taken over by that victim mentality ego, and that's that's a recipe for suffering.
absolutely. Mandy, please go ahead.
Well, yes, I can't see the hand this week. I don't know why. uh, uh, yeah, yeah, it was just following on from what Rafi was saying, because the thing is that we look at all these well, I don't look at them because I don't watch the news anymore. But I mean, the thing is that whatever's going on in the world, and particularly when there's terrible violence or whatever, whether it's in speech or physically, we like to we have this kind of illusion that we separated him. Oh, thank goodness I'm not like that or something. But whenever you've been seriously annoyed, irritated, or angry with someone, sometimes we push down that there can be extreme feeling in that, extreme. I think one of the releasing things is that if ever that comes up, is that in your mind you are giving yourself permission to allow yourself to really express that mentally, to let yourself have it as far as you can want to go with it, so that you can see it truthfully, that it is part of what you're really thinking, and then to just ask yourself if you'd like to let it go, which of course you always would like to let it go, so it doesn't go any further and it doesn't it doesn't do anything. But the thing is that as we get more freer, from these things in ourselves, then what we see operating in the world gets lighter. I mean, I'm just sort of saying what everybody here knows in bucket loads, is that it's only an expression of what we're feeling and thinking, even if it's not right now. Because sometimes you think, well, I've been quite all right for the last few years. I mean, for the last few decades, I can't see that I get particularly angry. I feel most, quite loving. But there's so much of this stuff that goes undetected, that we're really always have to be vigilant. And that doesn't mean that you have to put great effort into constantly monitoring your thoughts all the time. I mean, nobody can, really do that. But it's just about as that poem that you've picked is actually one of my favorite ones, because it's so simple, you see. I love the idea of there's me trying to drive the bus, and then I just remember to let go and go and sit right at the back of the bus, and then it's just taken over. I mean, it's all I. What is now driving the bus is I rather than little me. And there's nobody to appeal to, nobody to pray to. It's all us. We are now this beingness. We live as this beingness. And I know that if I forget that for a minute, or drop under what I call the line, drop under, and descend into some annoyance or anger or worse, that that not only do I know that it's all me, and I can't judge anybody on the outside. I can't judge anybody in the news or whatever they're doing, because I'm part of that. It's my responsibility in the way that I think myself or pay attention to those thoughts. So in releasing, I mean, in letting God drive the bus, it gets to us less and less and less, because it is just world mind, isn't it? You know, it really is, because you can see it's world mind because it's so crazy. It's just crazy. You know, we're all crazy, actually. We're all just as crazy, you know. There's nobody more crazy. You've got somebody who's the puppet, who is at this moment in time voicing it, but then it can be another puppet that's voicing all this craziness and hatred and division. You know, uh, and when it stops in us, it stops on the outside, and we don't get crazy anymore, really. So it's, if you see what I mean. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mandy. And yeah, I mean, that's why I think it's so brilliant that the poem talked about you're looking in the mirror, and that's whatever it is that you're seeing is exactly what you're projecting into it. It's not like it's coming from somewhere it's not like a television that's broadcasting something to you. You're looking at your own self and your own thinking. And that's just so helpful. Mickey, hi sweetheart, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry I was a little late. I have the day off from my other group, so I got to be here early, but I had to make myself a cup of coffee. Just one quick thing, if anybody's looking for their raise hand button, every once in a while Zoom moves it into the react button. So if you click on react, it'll be down below your little reactions. So there's that. Look, everybody raised their hands now. Yay! uh, so I love that we're talking about this because, of course, I went and voted over the weekend, and so things got stirred up, and everybody in my neighborhood is talking about what's going on, and everybody has opinions about people who have beliefs like Lynn's sister. And the thought occurred to me, and it's all one mind. So that's just fear coming up for all of us. It's fear on both sides. It's how ego stirs all that fear up. Oh, let's create a conflict. That's ego's favorite food, is conflict. It gobbles that up. And but if you, so that's on the bigger level. Yes, it's all one mind, and it's all just fear getting stirred up in the one mind. Great. But if we want to, come up a level from the base of everything, you got to think, if somebody's that conflicted, like what Lynn was talking about before with her sister, the thought came to me yesterday, I don't know what made you so scared to want to hate people, but something did. And oh my God, my heart goes out to you. I send you all the love I can, that maybe you can let go of some of that fear. The only thing we can, you can't, Martin Luther King was famous for saying, you cannot fight hate with hate. It doesn't work. The only thing that can conquer anything is love. So just trying to love people as much as I can. I'm not like Lynn. I was not born into a life loving everyone like Lynn was. I'm working at it. So I'm doing everything I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mickey. Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I have to say, um, I have been alerted to a lot of hatred in my mind that I didn't even recognize was there because I was in a lot of denial about it. But, when I start looking at it now, I think of what's happened to me is that uh, it has the picture that I'm seeing has become so insane. It's like it becomes more absurd every moment, every day. And every time I look at the news and I see the guy running for president is praising the genitals of a golfer, I'm like, can it get crazier? Is it possible that it could get crazier? Am I that insane that I have to just pull out the most absurd things possible in order to just slap myself in the face and wake myself up? It's crazy.
I missed that one.
Oh, well, you'll see it.
Hopefully, I'm not insane enough to even see that.
It's pretty crazy. Anyway, but it's my own thinking. Now I put it in your mind. Now I'm putting my crazy onto you. Anyway, John, Sunday, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. Thanks very much. I appreciate the conversation. Appreciate the meeting today and then the poem because it speaks to directly that. It speaks to the word we're using so much, crazy and insanity, and everybody's using it. And I think I told you last week how much I'm enjoying Alice in Wonderland because that's just another crazy story that echoes what we're seeing right now, but it's a fun thing. So it's the way that we look at this. And I just really enjoy what I read this morning from Joel in terms of what I just heard say about, I don't know why I'm so scared. I don't know. Well, basically, let me offer you one idea that we come in here with a very powerful self-preservation urge, which is fear-based. We're not aware of it, but we're fighting for a tooth and nail to hang on to this. And any threat, whatever it looks like, it's up for grabs. So basically, I really enjoyed that what I learned from Joel this morning, because this is extensions. He says really, if we forget about the omnipresence thing, the omnipresence of us, and the omnipresence of God, and there is only one. We're back into this world war with this chaplains praying to God for their side to win, and it's just as you say, we're totally out to lunch on these stories. So the thing that I like to say that the other thing that I picked up on this morning was about this sickness. And because I was in a healing talk yesterday, and they were talking about the different procedures and everything, and how they, for different procedures, how they all work. And the basis really starts from the witch doctor on. And I really like the witch doctor approach, because he just wants to know why you are sick. That's all. Is the only question, and so that puts the onus on us to discover and take responsibility for my sickness. Why am I sick? Why am I crazy? Why am I insane? And to take a deep dive into this, and I really like that. I'd rather have the witch doctor than anybody from Harvard or anybody at Stanford, anything like that. Their approaches. I think it's a lot more, makes a lot more sense to me, and it's actually more sane. If I want to gain some sanity and take some ownership for what's going on in my life, and do want to drive the bus? Hey, I got to take ownership what's going around the corner, what corners I take. But like you say, man, to just have the opportunity to sit at the back of the bus and just be willing to let somebody else run the bus. What about God running his own bus? What a concept. Anyway, I'm so happy to be here with you guys for the Monday morning kickstart to the week. Thank you so much for putting this on for me and everybody else.
Oh, lovely to hear you, John. That's so great. Oh, there's Harry and Rafi. So
Yeah. what I wanted that keeps striking me is that we look at all of this stuff, and the first thing that comes up is, I don't like it this way. I want it to be some other way. I like the presidential race in this country or weather or whatever. And you want to change it, you want to fix it, you don't want it to be this way, you want it to be some other way. And so you feel out of control about it. And that feeling leads to frustration, and that frustration leads to anger. And then you want to start killing people, and all of that stuff comes flooding out of your subconscious. And the simplest way to deal with it is to just look at it and say, okay, that's just wanting control, and get a hold of the wanting control feeling, allow it to be there, and welcome it up, and then let it go, because you can. And that's what it came up to do in the first place. All feelings come up to leave. And so the more anger and the more out of control, frustration and anger that I feel, the more I can get in touch with it, the more I can release and let it go and let it go and let it go and let it go. Because whatever's going on out there, all the insanity is there, is teaching us. You got something to look at in you. If you're not at peace, if you're reacting to it, if I'm reacting to it, if I'm not being, totally loving and being the love that we are, and not seeing that as, recognize it as the sacred oneness that it truly is. If you're seeing people as people that you like or don't like, that's ego judgment. And if you're coming from a point of view of ego judgment, then all of that unhappiness, all of that destructive victim feelings and mentality are just going to keep running over and over and over and over and over. But if you can just bring it up and say, okay, what is that? It's wanting approval, wanting control, wanting safety and security. Well, it's wanting control. I want it to be different. I don't like it this way. Good. Welcome that up, and then let it go, or keep letting it go until you get to a place where you're at peace with it. You recognize the quiet that is obvious and omnipresent. It's always there. And then you're back into the sanity of being. And that is easy then to just access the love that we all are and start spreading it around, start emanating it, because it's expressing through us, all of us, constantly, because who was it, Robert Adams? So the substratum of all existence, and you get back in touch with it again. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's all that wanting, control, isn't it? There's always a want there about that. I'm just aware, Carrie. Do you want to say something, Carrie? You've got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean,
Hi, Carrie.
hi, Mandy. Hi, everyone. We're talking a lot about surrender and allowing. And last week, I was in a situation. This was not life-threatening in any way, but for some reason, my anxiety just went right through the roof. There happened to be a marathon where around not too far from me, I was about normally 10 minutes from my home. There was a million barriers. Each and every intersection was another barrier. At a certain point, it was about an hour in, and I realized I just went around in a complete circle, and I couldn't see any way out. And a feeling of pure panic and like I'm trapped just totally overwhelmed me. This was, after an hour, bumper to bumper, inch by inch. And while I was feeling this, there was no possibility of allowing the resistance, just totally overwhelmed with feeling trapped. And I remember thinking at the time, I feel like I'm a million miles away from awareness right now. And it wasn't until I got home and I calmed down that I could think, everything, is it feeling trapped? Is it feeling panicky? Is it feeling like you're so overwhelmed you can't allow? Is it? But, I wish I could say I felt the fear, but there was no one there. But there was actually a very strong me feeling this fear. And sometimes in the moment like this, I always feel like, oh my God, I'm so far away from awareness. And I know you could say, well, if that's what you are, how could there be any distance from? But it doesn't feel like that. And sometimes it happens, at least with me, that there's such a strong feeling, such a strong negative reaction, that there's no possibility of any type of allowing.
Yeah. I think, Carrie, you what in a situation like that, to try and use any kind of this is just my thing, and I'd love to hear what other people think. But what I find in anything like that, to try and to even worry about awareness or being spiritual or anything, is just loading yourself with ideas, because you know, when you're in a situation like that, if there's just one thing you could do, is to this idea of the word welcome, which the word welcome in the Sedona technique just means accepting that whatever is there in the moment is there in the moment. So it's not about trying to be better than the moment, trying to make it go away, trying to make yourself more spiritual, trying to remember any spiritual truths whatsoever. It's just simply, I mean, if you could write this down so it's on a piece of paper, you know, in your car or wherever you are, just the word welcome, it just means that you completely know that that is the way you're feeling in this moment now, and you just welcome that feeling. Welcome is just saying, I accept it because it's there. I know it's there. I'm not lying to myself. It is there. And you just welcome it. Because as soon as you welcome it, even if you can't remember the next part is, could you just let it go just for this second? I mean, even before you get there, it's so powerful that just the question, could I just allow this to be the way it is at the moment? Just even before you finish that sentence, the word allow, it takes off all the trauma that you should be doing anything else. Because what you're doing is you're adding another layer, and you're resisting the fear that you feel. So rather than try and resist it, make it better, get away from it, you just allow yourself to welcome it because it is as it is. You say, right, that's what's here at the moment. That's what's here at the moment. And then if you remember, you can say, could I just let it go just for one moment, just one moment? If you can remember that bit, great. If you can't, don't even worry, as long as you are just welcome it. Does that make sense to you? Is that something you feel that you could do in a situation? Just be honest with me, Carrie, it's fine. I think you're muted. Are you there, Carrie? Oh, she says she doesn't know how to unmute. Is she muted from your end, Lynn, or anything?
No, she just has to click on her little microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear
Okay,
you
sorry.
now.
Something weird happened to my screen. Well, I appreciate that question so much, Mandy, and also about asking me honestly. Look, I just don't really know if I can, like that situation again. I was not in any type of danger, but just a pure panic just totally overwhelmed me. I don't really think I was capable even for 1 second. I mean, you know, it's maybe maybe in a situation that was not quite as extreme. Not that on the outside it was actually an extreme situation, but maybe for smaller moments. But this
Well,
was
I
just
think
so,
don't
yeah,
worry about the next moment. You know, I mean,
yeah,
at the moment, we're talking in retrospect because you are just reliving a memory. So it is just a memory. So it has no reality now. But you agree it is a memory, isn't it?
yes, correct.
Yeah, it's a memory. And that was for that time. And none of us can know how we will be in the next time because we only know about now. So but if there is a next time, just try that and just see what happens. but don't live in memory where you're comparing a possible next time to a possible last time, because the last time has gone. And there's nothing to say that that would ever happen again. Do you see what I mean? You can only do what you can do in the moment. And for all of us, sometimes it's different each time. If we remember a tool that will help us, then we remember it. And if we don't, then we might remember it afterwards. So there's no guarantee as long as we're alive, but we do the best we can. And when we're doing this work all the time, as we are, like you are here, it means that the next time that something happens, if it happens, it may be very different. It may be very different and much more malleable, much more elastic than the solid panic that you felt last time. So I would say, I would be interested to hear what Rafi would say on this one, but I would say to just let go of the memory of how it was last time. Yeah, I'd like to see what Rafi has to say about this, if that's all right, Carrie, as well.
Yes,
Well,
thank you, Mandy.
what happens is these feelings come up and we don't like them. And as soon as you don't like them, you're identifying with them. You're saying, these are my feelings and this is me. And that isn't true. If you reverse that and go back to what she said before about welcome and just let the feelings be there and know, first of all, it's only a feeling. If you identify with it, then you're saying it's me and it's not you. Okay? It's like identifying with those thoughts. Those thoughts that, well, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. How you doing? Oh, I'm awful. I'm having a terrible day. I'm off. That's not true. Those are only feelings. But as soon as you identify with them, then you become the victim. Now there is the power of decision. Can I decide that I'm not going to identify with these feelings? I'm going to welcome them and understand, A, they're only feelings. B, they came up to leave, as all feelings do. They don't have any other purpose but that. And then you could be in charge. Okay, who's the boss? You the boss, or you're gonna let that ego mind run you and identify with it? Say, I'm a victim. I'm terrible. This is awful. I'm scared to death. This is my whole life is ruined. You're gonna identify with all of that? Because all of that stuff, when you step back and take a look at it, is just stuff bouncing off your awareness, the screen of your awareness. Okay, if you're the aware of the feelings, you're aware of the thoughts, and you know they aren't you, and you can welcome the feelings, and then you can just decide to let them go. And then you're back to the quiet. That is the reality. But so many people get caught up in that. I feel afraid. I hate feeling afraid. So you push it down, or you distract yourself from it, or you decide that you're the victim of it and there's nothing you can do. You're going to lay there and bleed to death. Come on. All right. Then you turn into that soap opera. You're identifying with that soap opera that, we call the ego mind. And that ain't helping you get anywhere. It's here to teach us. It's here to learn, and welcoming it and loving it. And then deciding, and there's a deciding that life is a decision, deciding to let it go, puts you in charge. And that ego mind then isn't running you anymore. I think I covered it.
Thank you, Rafi.
Thank you so much, Rafi. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Carrie, for your beautiful questions. And I love that, when we were doing nonviolent communication here, which I think I'm going to start doing again soon. We did a lot of work on feelings, talk about feelings and what they really are and what they indicate about what our thinking is. And I love it. It's just a feeling, and a feeling is not nothing. It is pointing to something in me that I am not comfortable with, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But just know that it's like a cloud in the sky. It doesn't affect the sky. It just moves across, and sometimes it might rain, and sometimes it might block the sun, but it's not what I am. Thank you, Rafi, for that answer. John, Sunday, and then Mickey. Go ahead, John.
I like to add a little piece for myself, because I have a slightly different wrinkle on that, and it's I love the part where you welcome it, Mandi, and it's a sincere welcome, because that has valid information for you. This is the part of me that has valid information for me, and it's primal. And when you say like this is part of me, it's really part of my creation. And the very origin of creation is attraction and repulsion. These are the origin of feelings that we are attracted to or repelled by. And we repel by stuff. We remember that. We remember that becomes a part of us. It does become a part of our identity. It becomes a part of who we think we are, in terms of wanting to protect us. So and the protection is basically, I told you, as I mentioned before, is self-preservation. We really believe we're here, and we want to preserve ourselves. So basically, from my perspective, I would invite not only the welcome, but like I would invite the message that it has for me. Like it has a positive function for me, and I need to discover that, and just give it a voice. Let it say what it's here for, and then it will tell you what it's here for. It will alert you to exactly what it is. And then you can see why it has a value, why it's been around all this time. And it's not going away. And I'm not going to let this go just because I allow it to let it go. But it's not going to go without either transforming its function or upgrading its function, because most of these are just 2 or 3-year-old, 4-year-old ideas that we've carried along for a long, long time, which need a lot of upgrading. And ask, is it willing, when it tells us what it wants, you ask, and usually it's about protection or safety, which are very low level values. So ask what it would, if it had the safety, what would it want instead? And get some values on board with this, and just do a value elicitation on what this part is here really wants for you. Why does it want to protect you? What is that protection going to give you? What service will it be? And you will discover with that this part only wants the very, very best. It has positive function for you. And when it realizes that, because nobody's ever told it that, it's just been there in service. And we got a whole lot of these ideas, a whole lot of them. It's all beneath the ice cube, below the surface. So basically, and find out that the willingness and the strength of that part, and that's held power for all these years, is willing to come on board to support me in my growth and my evolution, in my peace and happiness and joy. And is it willing to do that? The only answer is yes, because that's all it wants to do. It wanted to help me in the first place. It didn't know it any better than it could at 3 years old. We got a 3-year-old driving the bus. And so basically, it's not a question of just allowing to let go. It's allowing to come on board and take responsibility for pointing me out when I forget that I'm off track. Like it has a new role to upgrade that part and give it something new to do. And I think you'll discover that it's going right on board with that, because it's the only way that it can be identified with is through those feelings, Rafi, because they're the origin of the thing. It's attraction and repulsion are the feelings that drive it. So anyway, that's my little wrinkle, but it does need re-education.
Yeah, well, I agree with you completely, John, and I mean that's really how I have been seeing it, is that yeah, the feelings come up, I can let them go. Feelings come up, I can let them go. But what is the source? Why? I mean, if I just keep letting go, I never actually get to what is it that is the source of all these feelings.
Well, it's guilt and victim consciousness. We're guilty, and you know what that's guilt is the driving the bus. So basically, as long as we stay don't address the victim and especially the guilt, we're hooked on this. Dove could talk for a long time on guilt. That is it's because of our belief that we're screwed up, you know. And yeah, and your sister has those beliefs, and so do you, and so do I, and so does everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's who they are. They're just beliefs. They're stories.
Right.
Alice in Wonderland has a lot of them too.
Yeah. And that's why I have to ask myself, why do I keep telling myself this same story? And embellish it every time. And it is because, you know, I do that guilt you're talking about. It's a belief that I've done something or could do something that is scary. You know, it's a scary thing. So I love that. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that input. And Mickey, I love to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, I'm going to take us back to what Carrie was talking about. I've got a very good course friend who started doing Sedona, and she was having a lot of trouble with it. And we were sitting there one day, and she was talking about this grievance that she had, and she said, "I get to that feeling, and I get to that question, can you let it go?" And I'm like, no, I don't want to let it go. I want to hold on to this grievance. And a few days later, we were talking, and she said, you know what? Even in just saying that no, even in asking that question, a day later, I felt it drop away a little bit. Not all the way, but a little bit. And she kept working with it. And eventually, and I think she's come through a lot of it now. And this is where it ties into the course so beautifully, in that the Holy Spirit only asks us for a little willingness, just a little. We don't have to give everything up. We just have to entertain the thought, could I possibly entertain the thought of being willing to let it go? And just start with that. We have to start where we are. We can't all of a sudden, you know, like just rip our hearts out and say, yeah, I'm going to let it go. we got to start where we are and just entertain, could I possibly in the future see myself letting go of this? Could I be willing? Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow I could let it go. But can we even just say, could I let it go a little bit? Maybe not throw it away completely. And that's how we have to look at the course also. You know, can I you know, take ego and say, okay, you're out of my mind, ego. That's it. We're done. I'm never going to think an ego thought again. No, we can't do that. But can we entertain a little willingness and say, I'm willing to let Holy Spirit in enough to let ego go just for a minute today. And that's where it starts, and it snowballs. And the next thing you know, you're like, wow, I'm feeling okay about this thing that I thought I could never let go of. So be kind, especially to ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you, Mickey. And yeah, am I willing to see it differently? That's the thing I have to ask myself always. Am I willing to see it differently? Because if I'm not, then yeah, I'm just going to keep seeing it the same way and think that I'm right. So that willingness to see it differently is the key. Otherwise, I'm just going to stay in my same place. Let it go all I want. I'm still I'm still in agreements. Dove, love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, I want to really thank Mickey for that wonderful sharing. That you could tell it came from her heart, and it's really about, if you noticed the end, she was smiling laughing already and lightening up. And that's really what is necessary here, is to lighten up. If you're a student of Ken Wapnick, you basically know that the ego's entire thing is to take things seriously. And when you start saying, well, why am I getting these feelings? Or, why are these feelings? That's taking it seriously. That is taking it seriously. You got to get to a place where nothing here really means anything, which happens to be lesson number one. Lesson number one is nothing I see here means anything. Now, the reason that's true is all meaning comes from the past. How could you possibly know anything unless you knew it from the past? That's why it doesn't mean anything, because there is no past. I mean, Rafi is the expert on that. And Rafi and I want to do a thing, which we already did one of them. And in fact, I was going to call you, Lynn, to see if we can get another Tuesday. We call it exactly as Mandi loves, Abenakasel, taking the act on the road. I'm going to probably ask Maureen if I can maybe do it on one of her Sundays along with the Rafi. But the idea is, if you take anything here seriously, that's the ego talking to you. That's all that's going on. I wanted to read one thing from Course in Miracles, which actually talks about cure. And it says, only salvation can be said to cure. Only. It doesn't say, well, you can do this, this, and this, and this. Only salvation could be said to cure. Now, what is salvation? Notice it's lesson 140, which happens to follow lesson 139 very closely, which is, I will accept atonement for myself. Now, I did that whole thing as a homily set. You did it with me, Len, setting your goal right up front. If you set your goal right up front and say, I accept the atonement for myself, you're not going back into history to get meanings that are meaningless. I mean, he tells you, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Now, where are you going to get any meaning in that? There's no meaning in a meaningless mind showing me a meaningless world. You can keep looking and looking, and that's exactly what the ego wants you to do. Seek and do not find. There's nothing there. There's nothing outside of you. Now, you may not be at that metaphysical level and say, there is no world, there's nothing outside of me. You may not be there. But let's take a look at what Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, lesson 140. If you go down to, it says, only salvation can be said to cure, and it follows, I accept the atonement for myself, which is, it says your only responsibility. He tells you this in the Course. Your only responsibility in this world is to accept the atonement for yourself. He's not saying there's 2 or 3 other options. He doesn't say that. He says you're only. The word only is a very big word as far as I'm concerned. So when you get down to paragraph 4, I'm going to read it exactly the way it is because he says it so well, I can never really re-say it the same way, but we'll see what happens. It says, atonement heals with certainty. Now, the word certainty is an important word. Only a son of God can be certain. So you need certainty. It's not, well, maybe this will work or maybe that will work. No. And cures all sickness. The word cure is in there. Now, he's going to tell you the difference between a cure and what we think is going to help us. For the mind which understands that sickness can be nothing but a dream, is not deceived by forms the dream may take. Sickness where guilt is absent cannot come, for it is but another form of guilt. Atonement does not heal the sick. In other words, it doesn't take away your ill feelings or your anger, your upsets, your worry, your fear. It doesn't do that. For that is not a cure. It takes away the guilt that makes the sickness possible. So this whole course is about seeing your brother as sinless, as guiltless. And the only way you can do that is to have a mind that is sinless and guiltless. So this whole course is about accepting that what you think happened never happened. That's what atonement is, that we never left the mind of God. We never left the oneness. And if we never left, guilt is not real. The ego's whole game is built on guilt. So this is not about discovering what problem this is bringing up. You know, David has this wonderful thing. You know, we all know it. Be grateful for your triggers, for they reveal your mistaken beliefs. Well, you can have 1,000 different mistaken beliefs, and there's always another one. There's always another one. There's always another one. But accepting responsibility for accepting the atonement now, and if you really accept the atonement, there's nothing to come to take the place of the last problem you solved. And I hope this is all helpful. It's the best I can do under the circumstances. You got to laugh. Now, if you notice that, that's Dove's probably most famous line is, you got to laugh. And you got to laugh is, instead of taking anything in this, I don't care what, milieu, world, ACIM gather, seriously, you got to laugh. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. You got to laugh.
Thank you, Dove. Man, talk about the cure you did. That's perfect. And I love it. I want to be mindful of our time now because we're getting to the top of the hour. I see Rafi has his hand up, and so does Mandi. So we'll go ahead and let you two share, and then we'll reread the poem and close out. So Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to address something that you said earlier, Lynn, and that is about the feelings. When you release the feelings, what happens is your mind quiets. And when your mind quiets, you see beyond the mind, the divine infinite quiet, the reality of our infinite being is right there. And it's represented by the quiet. That's the power of releasing. Sure, other thoughts are going to come up, and great, welcome them, let them go too. But as soon as you let them go, there's a whole exercise that you go through all releasing, and you say, okay, now do you feel, let's say it's wanting safety. Do you have safety? Yes. Could you let that expand and expand? Yes. Then could you let go whatever you're feeling to see if it gets any better? Yes. Could you let go more what you're feeling to see if it gets any better? Yes. Could you let go of more what you're feeling to see if it gets any better? Yes. Now what are you experiencing? Not what you're feeling, what you are experiencing. And what you're usually experiencing is the quiet or a sense of joy or a peace that you didn't realize that was always there. And it shows up as that quiet. You have now quieted the mind, and that's the whole point of it. So you can transcend it and be one with the power that of truth, of God, of quiet, that we really are, that silence, that stillness, that peace. That's the power. So when you say, well, there's going to be more feelings, sure there are. And that's what they're there for, to welcome them and let them go. So you can get to that, so you can quiet, because the whole process is quiet in the mind. And what's our infinite purpose? Dove nailed it perfectly when he said, the only purpose we have is to remember the truth of what we are, have forever been, are now, will forever be. And quieting the mind and transcending the mind is the best way I know of to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. And I love that. And yes, quieting the mind brings you to that stillness where you can hear the truth. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Mandi, please go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm just loving this discussion today. And I want to say to Rafi and Dov, the next time you do one of those things, please do it at a time that I can attend. Not midnight in the UK. That sounds like a song, Midnight in the UK. I love what Dov said. Thank you, Dov. That was so great, so great. And Rafi and Mickey and everybody. You see, I can't. Yeah, the feelings thing. I have never ever gotten better from examining my feelings. I've just found more feelings, I just haven't. And that's why I've always been for years so in favor of Sedona or things like it that are the same kind of truth about letting go, because I think what people misunderstand about the Sedona release is it's not suppressing, it's not pushing away things and just saying drop it. That the entire welcoming is absolutely not looking for, but looking at what is my experience right now. So the last thing we're doing is suppressing it or trying to get rid of it or not examining it. It's not examining it, it's allowing ourselves to look at it full in the face and experience that. So that even if it's really ugly, like extreme anger and hatred even, we're just absolutely owning it, looking at it. But in dropping it, we're taking off the second layer, which is the aversion to it. Because when we're all right as long as we're experiencing things, we're not all right when we then have an opinion about the experience. And that's where we get into the mind, and that's where we get into the judgment, and that's where we get into serious trouble. And then we go down a rabbit hole, you see, and that's why looking for you see, there's no source. There's only one cause, and it's God. There's only one source. That is your source. So the source of pain is more pain. That's why ultimately you're not really going to find a lot out from looking at why you have this pain. You'll only find more reasons, more. It's just mental stuff, layer after layer after layer. So this poem, I'm bringing it to Lynn to this poem, it is really about just letting God, which is you, that the I-ness of your being, just take over, because then you see there really aren't any problems. So we're not suppressing, we're not looking, we're just not looking for, you see. We're just welcoming the experience. And I say this to Carrie, this is what I meant, welcoming the experience by saying, it doesn't mean you have to like the experience, you're just accepting that's what's there now. Okay. But John, you did make a lovely point when you said that there's also a lovingness in that kind of protecting. That is also true, which is why I nodded when you were saying that. So I'm not, we can't always be in agreement. I'm not so much in simpatico with looking for the feelings, but I am saying that part of the welcoming is loving, that is coming from a lovingness. There's a protectiveness there, and that's beautiful, but that welcoming is definitely not pushing away. It's not saying, oh, I drop it. We're really experiencing it and allowing it to be. So now we could do the poem. Unless anybody else wants to add anything.
No, that's perfect and lovely. I love how this worked. So let us let God drive now.
Do you want to read it, Lynn, or?
I would love to hear you read it if you don't mind.
Oh, well, if nobody minds that, thank you very much. Right. And thank you for Mickey for showing me how to lower and raise the hand, because I was on another call the other day and I didn't understand how to do it. And now I do. Anyway, never mind. I'm pressing it, but it's not going down. Anyway, right, the poem. Letting God drive. When you look in the mirror, it appears there are two. Yet it's just twin aspects of the same you. But one has the power, the other does not. The reflection has nothing the source has got. It can take no action without you. It can't object or fight you. If you change your arm position, it can't oppose your decision. It's your counterpart, your shadow's heart. In the same way, you can surrender and thrive by releasing the wheel and letting God drive the car of your being. Now you're sightseeing giving over control to the safety of soul. There's a change of command. Love is at hand. So keep dropping back. Leave the drama and fuss. Relax in your seat and let God drive the bus. When you've surrendered to your source provider, life flows because you're only the rider. You can look out the window and enjoy the view. Now that's soul recognition. Simply you being you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Oh my goodness. So lovely. And thank you everyone who's joined us today. I love you all and look forward to seeing
I'll
you.
do those things. Try every week. Oh, Lynn, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. It's been brilliant. Lovely today.
I love it. All right.
Laugh, Mandy. Thank you for you have the last laugh on us.
Bless you, God. Thank you.
We're loving it. All right, you guys. We'll see you all later. Thank you so much, everyone.